Shabbat Shalom, everybody. Welcome to Pasadena Jewish Temple and Center. We are delighted to have you celebrate Shabbat. This is going all the way around my head now. Celebrate Shabbat with us, and we are delighted to have you here as we celebrate our good friend Marissa Alone becoming Bat Mitzvah. Really? Come on. So, I'm really excited that you're all here. I'm really excited that you're all there. Whether you're in the room or on the Zoom, you are in the right place, and we are so grateful to be celebrating with you. We're going to get started in just a moment, but first, just a couple of quick PSAs, a couple of quick public synagogue announcements. Things you should know about us. We are a musical community, and that means we're going to be making a lot of music this evening, and we really hope, when I say we, I mean I hope this entire room and everybody we reach on the live stream as well. So if you hear a tune that sounds catchy, even if you don't know the words, give it a shot. Hum along. We also provided these wonderful percussion instruments for you. These sidurim make a nice sound, or the wooden pews in front of you can also be drummed upon. If you've got an accordion at home, God bless you. Please feel free to join in. Actually, accordions are Shomer Shabbos. Did you know that? They are. They're kosher for Shabbos. And so the reason I suggest this is because I know from personal experience, the more you participate in the sounds that we're making, the better experience you will have, and the better it'll be for all of us. So please give that a try. We're also a safe community, which means we have this wonderful safety and security task force that's been meeting throughout the last year or so and guiding us on how to keep each other safe as we gather for holy occasions. And right now where we are is when we have a special occasion like this, we are still asking people to have masks over their nose and mouth while you're in the kahal. You'll see that I'm not wearing one right now, but whenever like the cantor and I are close together, we'll kind of take turns. Anybody who comes up here to lead a prayer, they're way over there, they can take their mask off, or if somebody comes up for an honor or something like that. Anybody with a microphone can take their mask off while they're doing their thing. Other than that, if you need to take a mask break at any time, if you just need to catch your breath, go outside. You will not offend us in the least if you're kind of in and out of the service for your own health. That is totally kosher, and we really appreciate your helping us do this to keep everybody safe for as long as we have to, and not a second longer. And so for right now, we are going to get started. And we begin this service with a song of our tradition that reminds us that when we go into Shabbat, we are never alone. Pardon the pun, alone family. We are never alone because we have angels to guide us in. We have angels that we welcome in. We have angels that bless us and escort us throughout this holy occasion. So we sing to them and we say welcome. We say Shalom Aleichem. And if you want to sing along with us and you want the words, those are on page 13. Page 13.
Shalom Aleichem, Malachei Yasharet, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech, Malachei Amlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Vachem LaShalom, Malachei Yashalom, Malachei Elyon. Mi melech malachei amlachim HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Baruchuni LaShalom, Malachei Yashalom, Malachei Elyon. Mi melech malachei amlachim HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Tzedchem LaShalom, Malachei Yashalom, Malachei Elyon. Mi melech malachei amlachim HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Ya la la la, ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la.
And even as we're lifting our voices in song to celebrate Shabbat, we're also increasing the light in our homes and in our holy spaces and in our hearts. And one thing we haven't done quite yet, because the sun is just about to go down on us, is lighting and saying the blessing over the Shabbat candles. So at this time, I'd like to call up Marissa, there she is, and Hillary alone, and Judy Wallace, and Ellen Bormeister to come up and light the Shabbat candles. And those look like special Shabbat candles. Those aren't the ones we usually have. They look like they came from home.
Those are the special butterflies that they light candles.
Lovely.
Since she was very, very little.
Amen. Kol hakavod.
Where's she gonna go? Go back to my chair.
I was having a conversation with a colleague of mine who said, "Can I say Shabbat Shalom yet?" Because there are some weeks that can't end soon enough. And we welcome in Shabbat as a kind of comfort in hard times. And so I'll say, if you're having a hard time, know that we're here for you, and also Shabbat is here for your peace. And one of the ways that we move from a narrow place to a place of holiness is we ascend, we climb. We climb from the schmutz of the work week into the holy heights of Shabbat. And our tradition gives us a ladder for that, if you will, a sulam. In Hebrew, sulam is the same word for ladder or a musical scale. So we're taught that with our songs we can ascend to the holiness of Shabbat, and we have a series of psalms and poems by sages of our tradition to help us do that, beginning with a psalm that's on page 15, L'chun Ranana.
L'chun Ranana l'Adonai Nariya letzuri sheinu nekadma fanav betoda vizminat nariya lo ki el gadol Adonai v'lo echel kol Elohim Moshe. Arbaim shana hakud ledor v'omar am toei levavel והם לא ידעו דרכי אשר נשבעתי ואפי אם יבואון אל מנוחתי.
Page 16.
שיר חדש, שירו לאדוני כל הארץ, שירו לאדוני ברכו שמו, ועשו מיום ליום ישועתו, ספרו בגויים כבודו וכל העמים נפלאותיו, כי גדול אדוני
We move from the Psalms of King David to a more recent selection. This is a poem that was written merely about 500 years ago, so it's like Jewish new. And by the yeah, exactly. So it's only 500 years old. It's from the Kabbalists of Sfat, and these holy people felt like, you know what, we can't just go into Mari, that this is a special occasion. We actually need to build toward Shabbat. We need to embrace Shabbat. We need to welcome Shabbat as it comes to us from across the horizon. And how do you welcome Shabbat? Well, you welcome Shabbat like you welcome in visiting royalty. But not just in that transcendence, but also kind of intimacy. We welcome Shabbat like when you're at a wedding and the beloved couple is about to walk down the aisle and you stand and you welcome them in and you say, "Come, my beloved, Lacha Dodi." And we're going to sing Lacha Dodi together on page 22. Page 22.
So if this melody is new for you, you'll catch up very quickly. Just join in the Lecha Dodi part. We'll do it a few times at the beginning. Lecha Dodi likrat kala b'nei Shabbat nekabela. Let's try that again one more time. Lecha Dodi likrat kala b'nei Shabbat nekabela. From the beginning, Lecha Dodi again. Lecha Dodi likrat kala b'nei Shabbat nekabela. Lecha Dodi likrat kala b'nei Shabbat nekabela. לא תבושי מה תשתוכחי ומה תמי בך יחסו אני ימי ונבנתה עיר על תילה together לך דודי לקראת קלה פני שבת נקבלה לך דודי לקראת קלה פני שבת נקבלה והיו לי משיסה שוסייך ורחקו כל מבלייך יסיס עלייך אלוהיך כמסוס חתן על כלהו לך דודי לקראת כלה פני שבת נקבלה לך דודי לקראת כלה פני שבת נקבלה ימין ושמאל תפרוצי ואת אדוני תריצי על יד איש בן פרצי ונשמחה ונגילה לך דודי לקראת קלה פני שבת נקבלה לך דודי לקראת קלה פני שבת נקבלה בואי ושלום עטרת בעלה גם בשמחה ובצולה תוך אמוני עם סגולה בואי חלה בואי חלה לך דודי לקראת קלה פני שבת נקבלה 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 one more time together לך דודי לקראת קלה פני שבת נקבלה לך דודי לקראת קלה פני שבת נקבלה
You may be seated, except for one person who I'm going to call up right now, and that's Martin Alone, who is going to be leading us in a psalm for Shabbat. You can find it in your prayer books on page 23, and you'll see by the typeface that this is what's known as a responsive prayer. That means we take turns. Marty will do the A parts, we'll do the B parts, and we'll all do the whole psalm. That's how we'll do this holy work together.
It is good to acclaim Adonai, to sing your praise, exalted God.
To affirm your love each morning and your faithfulness each night, to the music of the lute and the melody of the harp.
Your works, Adonai, make me glad. I sing with joy of your creation.
How vast your works, Adonai! Your designs are beyond our grasp.
The thoughtless cannot comprehend, the foolish cannot fathom this.
The wicked may flourish, springing up like grass, but their doom is sealed, for you are supreme forever.
Your enemies, Adonai, your enemies shall perish. All the wicked shall crumble.
But me you have greatly exalted. I am anointed with fragrant oil. I have seen the downfall of my foes. I have heard the despair of my attackers.
The righteous shall flourish like the palm tree. They shall grow tall like a cedar in Lebanon. Planted in the house of Adonai, they will thrive in the courts of our God.
They shall bear fruit even in old age. They shall be ever fresh and fragrant to proclaim, Adonai is just, my rock in whom there is no flaw. Yashar, thank you, Marty. And now we're going to share a musical rendition of that on the facing page 23. Psalm for Shabbat, Mizmor Shir L'Yom HaShabbat.
מזמור שיר ליום השבת, טוב להודות לאדוני, ולזמר לשמך עליון, ולזמר לשמך עליון. מזמור שיר ליום השבת, טוב להודות לאדוני, ולזמר לשמך עליון, ולזמר לשמך עליון. להגיד בבוקר חסדך, באמונתך בלילות, עלי אסון ועלי נבל, עלי היגיון וכינור. מזמור שיר ליום השבת, טוב להודות לאדוני, ולזמר לשמך עליון, ולזמר לשמך עליון. כי שימחתני אדוני בפועלך, במעשה ידיך, במעשה ידיך מזמור שיר ליום השבת, טוב להודות לאדוני, ולזמר לשמך עליון, ולזמר לשמך עליון. מה גדלו מעשיך אדוני, מאוד עמקו מחשבותיך. מה גדלו מעשיך אדוני, מאוד עמקו מחשבותיך. יא אלי אלי אלי, יא אלי יא אלי, יא אלי אלי אלי, יא אלי אלי אלי, יא אלי יא אלי, יא אלי. מזמור שיר ליום השבת, טוב להודות לאדוני, ולזמר לשמך עליון, ולזמר לשמך עליון, ולזמר לשמך עליון.
Marissa, so we agreed you're going to do the Devar tour tomorrow, right? Right? So should I do the one tonight? I'm very nervous. Maybe I'll start with a joke. Hey, Can't Ruth, remember when we were talking about accordions? What do you call a person who throws an accordion down the stairs?
Oy.
a repairman. I feel a little bit better. So, but I do know, I don't want to spoil it for you. Mercer's got a pretty great Devar Torah for you tomorrow. Some wonderful teaching, a take that I have never heard before, and so I really hope you'll join us for that. I've got a little something to say about the Parsha too. Tonight is kind of a confluence of events, if you will. It is Erev Shavuot. It's the penultimate day of the Omer, I guess, or not, ultimate maybe. I don't want to spoil it, but it's almost time for Shavuot, and this is in our liturgy we call this Hag Hamatan HaTorah. It's the holiday, the festival of receiving the Torah. It's also Hag HaAsah. It's the festival of the first fruits, and it is a time where we mark the beginning of our plenty in the harvest cycle, but also the beginning of our time as not just a free people, but a holy people, a people with a mission, a people with a guide to life that makes a free people a good people. So that's what we're getting ready for. So that's my little plug for Shavuot tomorrow night, and we'll say more about that in announcements later. But it's also the beginning of a new book of the Torah, because we have just ended Vayikra, we have just ended Leviticus, which is, for me, the ultimate statement of holiness sandwiched in with a bunch of rules. But those rules aren't for nothing. I mean, they are to guide us as we fulfill that commandment to be a holy people, because our God is holy. And so now we're filled up with holiness. We're filled up of the ritual of the priesthood and all the pomp and circumstance. And now it's time to walk. And where do we walk? Bamidbar. It's often translated as the book of Numbers, because there's a whole bunch of numbers in the start of it, and also in the end of it. It starts with the census, ends with the census, and so sometimes in other traditions it's called the book of Numbers, but we call it Bamidbar. We call it, well, sometimes it's pronounced Bamidbar, and that's a common pronunciation, and the letters work. Bamidbar, meaning in the wilderness. There's also a Masoretic tradition. The various vowels we believe belong to the letters in the Torah of saying not Bamidbar, but Be-midbar. And there is, it's a slight difference. There's a shva under the bet, nerd. But that's an important difference. And I'm not going to say one is right, but I really like, I'm partial to the shva. And here's why, the Be-midbar. Because Bamidbar is in the wilderness. This is locational, or in the desert even. We often translate Bamidbar as in the desert, right? Because we have, our narrative tradition is we wandered in the desert. And if you go to that part of the world now, yeah, it's kind of dry. That is an ecological description. But to say, as it says in the beginning, that God spoke to Moses Bamidbar, God spoke to Moses in wilderness, that's not locational, that's categorical, right? It's not ecological, it's economic, and even, dare I say, political. And let me elaborate on that for you. How our sages read that, it wasn't about it being a place with cactuses, like we imagine the desert from the Roadrunner cartoons. It wasn't about the sand. It wasn't about the dryness. It was about what wilderness represents. And even in America, when we think of wilderness, we think of big trees and not very good cell phone coverage. But what wilderness meant to them was a land that was without owner. An ownerless land, right? It didn't belong to a person to plow. It didn't belong to a state to fight over. It belonged to nobody exclusively. And so with this understanding, the sages of our tradition asked the question, what does it mean that God spoke to Moses in an ownerless place, in a place that transcends property, that transcends exclusive claim. And when they were talking about this, and you can read some of the discussion in Masechet Nedarim, page 55a, one person I think has, well, my favorite answer. And his name was Rava. He was a great sage of Talmudic times. And I think he cracked it. I think, as rabbis often do, they're looking at, they're trying to figure out what this section, God spoke to Moses in wilderness, means by looking at another section. Sometimes it's called Gezerah Shava, sort of deducing meaning of here from meaning over there. And he remembered another line. He says, okay, guys, I've read ahead, no spoilers, but on chapter 22 of Bamidbar, in verse 18, we see the phrase, umimidbar matana. In its own context, well, it was a different context. The context was more like driving directions, right? It's listing out the journey through the wilderness. It's saying they went from here to there, they went from there to here, and it's sort of cataloging their march. And then it says, umimidbar matana, which means from the place that is called Midbar town, they go matanward, right? Matana with a little hay at the end of it is sort of a directional enclitic. Nerd. And it means it went from this town, Midbar, to that town, Matan. But Rava says, well, that's one way to read it. But if you translate it another way, the very same letters mean, umimidbar matana means, and from the wilderness she was given, or they were given her, matana. And so the rabbi said, this is fascinating, Rava. But who's her? Right? It's a suspenseful pronoun. And they said, who's the her that we're always talking about? Rava says, she is Torah. And from the wilderness, from an ownerless place, Torah is the gift. Torah flows from a place that transcends ownership, transcends control, transcends exclusivity. Therefore, Rava says, only when a person opens themselves up to everyone, just like a wilderness is open to everyone, only then do they merit to receive Torah. As I said before, not for nothing, we stand tonight at the foot of Har Sinai. We stand tonight at the foot of Sinai. We're told that they waited for 3 days. God said to Moses, okay, you want to hear some rules? I need you to wait for 3 days. I need you to wash your clothes. I need you to keep your hands to yourselves. I need you to be patient. And in 3 days, when you wake up, I've got something to say to you. Incidentally, this is why we do a Tikkun Leil Shavuot like we're doing this Saturday night. What are we tikkuning? What is the rectification there? There's a midrash that said, even though the people were warned 3 days ahead of time and they were very careful and they were checking their watches and they were very excited, they slept in. Would you believe it? The Israelites slept late. And they were so embarrassed. They said, from now on, you know what we're going to do? Now that we have this Torah, we're going to stay up all night studying it every year as we prepare to celebrate that. And that's why we have some places stay up all night. Some places just stay up late enough. And there's always cheesecake. So I'll tell you a little bit more later about what we're doing tomorrow night. But we are standing at the foot of Sinai. And we are waiting. We are waiting. Will we receive revelation? Do we deserve it? In true Rava rabbinic fashion, I'll answer the question with a question. To whom are we open? Are we ready to say that no one group owns the Torah? Are we ready to say that men don't own the Torah? Are we ready to say that cisgendered people don't own the Torah? Are we ready to say that Jews don't own the Torah? Now, we do have a covenant. That's ours. We do have a birthright. But it's more of what's known as a usufruct arrangement. We have a responsibility. We are the stewards of that light unto the nation, but we are not free to hide it. We are not that kind of owner. We only merit to receive Torah truly, according to Rava, when we are open to everyone, when we are open to men, when we are open to women, when we are open to people of color, when we are open to all kinds of Jews, when we are open to every single person of the LGBTQIA community. And I don't know if we merit Torah yet. I hope we do. One thing I do know about Torahs is that if any single letter is missing, it's not kosher. So my prayer tonight is that our openness at PJTC, our openness in the broader community, merits our revelation in this season. Erev Shavuot Sameach, Pride Month Sameach, and Shabbat Shalom. Thank you for joining us here at PJTC. In a moment, we are going to continue with our call to blessing, that is the Baruch Hu, and the Baruch Hu can be found on page 28, and if you'll move our streaming attention over there, it's going to be led by our good friend, Marissa.
Baruch Adonai Leolam Vaed. Baruch Ata Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher b'nei
Yom umevi laila umavdil ben yom uven laila Adonai tzvaot shemo el chai v'kayam tamid yimloch aleinu le'olam va'ed Baruch ata Adonai
Baruch Shemo
Ha'ma'ariv arabim.
Amen. You may be seated as we continue with the blessing of the constancy of God's love on page 29, Ahavat Olam.
Ahavat Olam Beit Yisrael Amcha ahavta Torah u'mitzvot chukim u'mishpatim otanu limadata Al ken Adonai Eloheinu v'shochveinu ובקומנו נשיח בחוקיך, ונשמח ונראה תורתך, ובמצוותיך לעולם. כי הם חיינו ואורך ימינו, ובהם נהגה יומם ולילה, נהגה יומם ולילה. ואהבתך אל תסיר ממנו לעולמים, ברוך אתה אדוני אוהב עמו ישראל, אוהב עמו ישראל.
Amen. We now go to Marissa.
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Ve'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha bechol levavcha uv'chol nafshecha uv'chol meodecha v'hayu hadvarim ha'ele asher anochi mitzavecha hayom al levavecha v'shinatam levanecha v'tibarta bam v'shivtecha v'derech v'veitecha v'derech u'kshocha uv'kumecha u'kshotam le'ot al yadecha v'hayu letotafot b'neinecha u'chtavtam al mezuzot beitecha u'visharecha.
You can continue in the middle of page 30 at your own pace, and we'll get back together in just a moment. Marissa will be leading us on the top of page 31 together.
Vayomer Adonai el Moshe lemor, daber el bnei Israel, va'amarta al yahem, ve'asu lahem tzitzit, al kanfei vigdehem ledorotam, ve'natnu al tzitzit hakanaf, petil techelet, ve'haya lachem. And tzitzit uritem oto uzchartem et kol mitzvot Adonai va'asitem otam velo tatu acharei levavchem ve'acharei einechem asher atem zonim achareichem leman tizkeru Va'asitem et kol mitzotai, v'hiyitem kedoshim lelohechem. Ani Adonai Elohechem, asher hotzeiti etchem me'eretz Mitzrayim, lehiyot lachem lelohim. Ani Adonai Elohechem, Adonai Elohechem emet.
אמת ואמונה, כל
Okay,
זה שקיים.
We continue at the top of page 32, page 32. On this page, as we bless God for God's nature as a Redeemer, we remember the time when our people walked across a sea on dry land, and when they got to the other side, they sang in spontaneous joy, "Who is like our God among all who are worshipped? Mi chamocha ba'elim Adonai." We're on page 32.
The melody might be a little familiar from somewhere else. The words, hopefully even more familiar. Please join in. La 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 la, ya la la, ya la 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 la. Mi chamocha ba'elim Adonai, mi kamocha nedar b'kodesh norah. Tehilot osef elet malchutecha ra'u anecha bokeh hayam lifnei Moshe uMiriam וכולם זה לי ענו ואמרו זה לי ענו ואמרו אדוני ימלוך לעולם לעולם ועד אדוני ימלוך לעולם לעולם ועד. Together. Yalla lai 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 lai. Yalla lai 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 lai. Yalla lai lai lai. Yalla lai lai lai. Yalla lai lai. Yalla lai lai lai. Yalla lai lai. Yalla lai lai. ונאמר כבוד אדוני את יעקב וגאלו מיד חזק ממנו ברוך אתה אדוני גל ישראל.
We continue together on page 33, and it's my honor to call up Dory Wallace, who is going to read the Hashkivenu for us on page 33. Here we go.
Help us, Adonai, to lie down in peace and awaken us again, our sovereign, to life. Spread over us your shelter of peace. Guide us with your good counsel. Save us because of your mercy. Shield us from enemies and pestilence, from starvation, sword, and sorrow. Remove the evil forces that surround us. Shelter us in the shadow of your wings, O God, who watches over us and delivers us, our gracious and merciful ruler. Guard our coming and our going. Grant us life and peace, now and always. Spread over us the shelter of your peace. Praised are you, Adonai, who spreads the shelter of peace over us, over all his people Israel, and over Jerusalem.
Amen. Yasher koach. If you'll join us on the facing page 33 as we sing together.
השכיבנו אדוני אלוהינו לשלום, והעמידנו מלכנו לחיים. השכיבנו אדוני אלוהינו לשלום, והעמידנו מלכנו לחיים. השכיבנו אדוני אלוהינו לשלום, והעמידנו שומרנו לחיים. ושמור על צאתנו ואוהבינו השכיבנו אדוני אלוהינו לשלום והעמידנו מלכנו לחיים. השכיבנו אדוני אלוהינו לשלום והעמידנו שומרנו לחיים. שלום 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 שלום. ברוך אתה אדוני הבורא סוכת שלום עלינו ועל כל עמו ישראל ועל כל יושבי תבל ועל ירושלים.
We continue at the top of page 34, page 34.
Together, Shamru bnei Israel et השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. ביני ובין בני ישראל אותי לעולם, אותי לעולם, אותי לעולם. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. כי ששת ימים עשה אדוני, עשה אדוני את השמיים ואת הארץ. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. וביום השישי שבת ויהי נפש, שבת ויהי נפש, שבת ויהי נפש. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם.
We stay here in the middle of page 34. Marissa is going to lead us in the Hatzi Kaddish.
Yikadal v'yikadash shemei Rabbah.
Amen.
Aman divra kirtei v'emlich malchutei
Echon v'yom echon uv'hayedecho beit Yisrael Bagala, bagala tuvizman karib. Amen. Yehi shmei
Rabbah mevarach
Leolam olam me'almaya yitbarach.
Yitbarach v'yishabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitramam v'yitnaseh v'yithadar v'yit'aleh v'yithalal Shemei Dekudesha
Ehu.
Elamin Obirchata Vishirata
Tushvechata v'nehemata damiran b'yama.
Veimeru.
Amen. We rise and join together on the page 35b. This is an Amidah for Shabbat evening. This is a silent, or rather a private Amidah. So take your time, whether you're leaning on the words on the page, they are strong, they will hold you, or whatever prayers you have to say in your heart. Pray your private prayer when you're at your own pace, and when you're finished, you may be seated. We'll all get back together in just a little while.
He who leratzon imrei fi vegion libi lefanecha Adonai turi vegoali Amen. Oseh shalom, shalom bimromav, hu yaseh shalom aleinu ve'al kol Israel ve'imru Amen. We are shalom. שלום בברמה, הוא יעשה שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל, ואמרו אמן. ועל כל יושבי תבל,
We conclude the Amidah with the Kaddish Shalem on page 48, led by our good friend Marissa.
Yikadal v'yikadash shemei Rabbah. B'alman divra kirtei v'yamlich malchutei b'chayechon uvyomechon u'chayei dechol beit Yisrael ba'agala uvizman kariv v'imeru.
Amen. Yeshmei Rabba Mevorach Leolam Le'amaya Yitparach.
Yitbarach v'yitabach v'yitpa'ar v'yirmam v'yitazeh v'yithadar v'yitalev v'yitalal shemei dekudashah le'ela min kol berachata v'shirata tushbechata v'nechamata ta'amiran be'alma v'imeru.
Amen.
Titkabal sloton uva uton dechol Yisrael kodam avuhon dishmaya v'imeru.
Amen.
Yehesh lama rabba min shemaya v'chayim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imeru.
Amen.
Osei shalom b'mromav u'ya'aseh shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael ve'al kol yoshvei tevel v'imeru.
Amen. In just a moment, one more time. Is this the last time?
Yeah.
Oh.
Who is next to you?
Right. I'm getting bittersweet about the last counting of the Omer. But as I like to say, don't cry because it's over. Smile because it happened. We're going to turn to page 55, and I'll also ask while we're doing that, I'd like to ask the people who are going to open the ark for Aleinu to come on up here to be ready. And those people are Ronald, Judy, and Dory Wallace.
לשם ייחוד קודשא בריחו ושכינתי הנני מוכן ומזומן לקיים מצוות עשה לשם ייחוד קודשא בריחו ושכינתי הנני מוכנה ומזומנת לקיים מצוות עשה של ספירת העומר של ספירת העומר של ספירת העומר של ספירת העומר שבע שבתות תמימות תהיינה שבע שבתות תמימות תהיינה ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו ומצוותיו וציוונו על ספירת העומר, על ספירת העומר, על ספירת העומר, על ספירת
היום 49 יום שהם 7 שבתות לעומר. Tonight begins 49 days, which is 7 weeks of the Omer. And now, once again, as I said before, Ronald and Judy and Dory Wallace have the honor of opening the Ark for Elenu, which means everyone else is going to rise and join us on page 51 for Elenu. And so we have a
עלינו לשבח לאדון הכל, לתת גדולה ליוצר בראשית, שלא עשנו כגויי הארצות, ולא שמנו כמשפחות האדמה, שלא שם חלקנו כאל, וגורלנו ככל עמונם. ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא,
שהוא נוטה שמיים ויוסר
שהוא נוטה שמיים ויוסר את מה שנקרא בשמיים. על כן נקווה לך, אדוני אלוהינו. כי המלכות שלך היא, ולעולמי עד תמלוך בכבוד, ככתוב בתורתך, אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד, ונאמר והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ ביום ההוא, ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד ושמו
Please remain standing while the ark is closed. Shkoyach, the ark is closed. You may be seated. Even as we gather in joy, it's appropriate to pause to remember with honor those who are no longer with us. This week at PJTC, we are marking the Yahrzeit, and that is the anniversary of the passing of Estelle Alt, Judith Brzezinski, Rose Brecker, Rosalind Chalik, Helen Weingarten-Klaster, Paul Cooper, Sarah Cooper, Gustav Farber, Beatrice Fink, Engel Salomone Zas Flora, Samuel Ginsberg, Sarah Glickman, Herman Green, Rose Hacker, David Harris Hellman, Milton Max Honowitz, Jack Isaacson, Bernard Julius, Anna Kahn, Max Katzman, Ishak Keshev, Irving Korobkin, Warren Levin, Robert Levinson, Louise Lorden, Nettie Marks, Arlene Meehan, Leon Merzel, Rachel Morgenstern, Joseph Morris, Sarah Rubin Pace, Pavel Podzemski, Ethel Rakelin, Faye Ricks, Arlene Rosenbaum, Engel Salomon, Harry Schick, Sylvia Schuster, Idel Sagan, James Selig, Bessie Shapiro, Louis Wachowski, Abraham Weiner, Fanny Gertrude Woodman, Leah Whitkin Korobkin, and Martin Zuckerman. If you have another name that you'd like to lift up in honor at this time, please hold their name in your heart or say their name out loud wherever you are. And if you are observing a yard site this week or in mourning for anyone, please rise and join us in the Mourner's Kaddish, the Kaddish Tome, which can be found on page 52 in your prayer book, page 52. Let's pray together. Yitgadal v'yitkadash shemei rabbah.
Amen.
Ba'alma divra kirute v'yamlich malchute b'chayechon uvyomechon uvchaye dechol beit Yisrael ba'agala uvizman kariv v'imru. Amen. Yehei shmei rabba mevorach leolam v'lalmei almaya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitramam v'yitnaseh v'yitadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal shmei dekudsha brihu. Leila min kol birchata v'shirata, tushbechata v'nechamata, damiran b'alma v'imru. Amen. Yehei shlama rabba min shemaya, v'chaim aleinu, v'al kol Yisrael v'imru. Amen. Oseh shalom b'mramav, hu yaseh shalom aleinu, v'al kol Yisrael v'imru.
Amen.
Amen. And you may be seated as we move from kavod to simcha, from honor to joy, which this is a pretty special occasion. You know that, Marissa, because you are getting gifts. Are you ready to get some gifts? We have some wonderful presentations for you from our USY Youth Group, our Sisterhood, and our Men's Club, starting with joining us live via Zoom, or joining us via Zoom, is Bryce Weinberger, who's got a presentation on behalf of the USY.
Shabbat Shalom. My name is Bryce Weinberger, and I will be presenting the gift on behalf of USY tonight. Marissa, I want to congratulate you for working hard to become a bat mitzvah. You are doing amazing. We may not know each other well, but your teachers have told me what an amazing person you are. You love to read, which shows how creative you are and like to learn about other people's stories. That is something that you should always hold on to. I'd love to hear your favorite book sometime. I also see you like the color purple, so do I. I know that you've been attending many of the USY events, which is so cool. I look forward to seeing you at the Knott's Berry Farm trip this summer and getting to know you more. Now for the actual gift, it's a book on the podium in front of you. It's called the Bechol Echad. This is a USY songbook that we use for regional and sometimes local youth group events. It includes many uplifting songs we use for Ruach, which is the crazy and upbeat part of the moment. It also includes slower yet beautiful melodies that we use for Sloach. I think that you would enjoy both parts. If you ever need something to sing or to read in your free time, feel free to take a look at this book. I hope to see you this summer at more USY events, especially Knott's Berry Farm. Mazel Tov, Marissa.
Eshkoyak, well done. Now, I believe also joining us via Zoom is Addie Rotter, who has a presentation on behalf of the Sisterhood.
Shabbat Shalom. Marissa, may you embrace the lessons you have learned, ready to share them with others, and remain open to discovering even more. On your bat mitzvah, you become not just a woman, but a scholar, a leader, and a teacher as well. May this Kiddush cup I am presenting to you on behalf of your PJTC sisterhood be a reminder of this special milestone in your life. Mazal Tov, congratulations.
Here's the Kiddush cup, and in case you were wondering, that idea of the woman, it also comes with a lollipop. In case you're not quite ready, you can just transition into womanhood by having a lollipop.
And last but not least, joining us in 3 dimensions, it is Eric Schlecht, who is going to be making a presentation on behalf of the PJTC Men's Club.
Hi, Marissa. I'm Eric Schlecht, representing the Men's Club, as the rabbi said, on this happy occasion of your bat mitzvah. And I want you to know you're doing a wonderful job. It's not easy plugging through all the Hebrew, let alone the Aramaic in the Kaddishes. But I understand you've had a kind of a hard year, new school, new town. Is that right? And that makes it, I did the same thing. I'm sorry. I'm not speaking loud enough. I did the same thing when I was your age. It's not easy. It's not easy. But you're doing great, and I want you to know PJTC is behind you and cheering you on, as well as your family, your friends. So I'm here to present you with this yad. I don't know if anybody can see. You've seen it before, right? It's a yad, which means hand. So you hold it in your hand to point your way when you're reading the Torah, as you know. And it kind of connects you to the Torah. And it's also not just practical, but you can keep it as a reminder of all the work and all the study and all the learning that you've done and to get to this time. And I'm sure your parents must be really proud. And you've had a little help from them, a little help from your teachers, Maura, Sandra, Rabbi, Cantor. So actually, I have one that Cantor Ruth gave me a few years ago. Not for my bar mitzvah. It was a few years after my bar mitzvah. And the only reason I mention it is because I get to use it tomorrow, too. Because I'm going to help you read the somewhat long portion. So anyway, here you go. And we're looking forward to seeing you tomorrow. And Mazel Tov and Shabbat Shalom. And Yasher Koach.
Yashkoach, Eric, thank you very much. Before we conclude as we began it, which is Enjoy Song, just a really quick announcement. Although it's old news by now, tomorrow night we are going to have a Tikkun Leil Shavuot here at PJTC. It's going to be at what time, Stephanie? 8:30. Thank you, Stephanie, because she reminded us last week. So it's going to be at 8:30. Just you should know. It's going to be, the whole thing is going to be outdoors. So God willing, the weather cooperates. We're going to begin at 8:30 on Katz Terrace with singing Mariv together. And then we're going to have 2 different learning sessions with like 5 different teachers. There's going to be a lot of great teachers there. I'm going to be there too. And there's going to be some nice nosh. I heard we're doing kind of a Top Chef with the theme of milk and honey as a part of our desserts.
Exciting.
So if you're interested in that at all, I'm sure we got notices around here. Check that out, and we'd be delighted if you join us for some learning. And we don't go all night. If you have an early bedtime, you could do 1 session, 2 sessions, and we'll get you home at a reasonable hour. But we'd be really delighted for you to do that learning with us. For right now, as I said, we're going to begin, we're going to end the service as we began. That's in some beautiful singing together. I ask you to please rise because it feels better. Rise in all the ways that you're able. And then after we're done singing, make sure you stick around for Kiddush, okay?
O Diavo Shalom Aleinu, O Diavo Shalom Aleinu, O Diavo Shalom Aleinu, Ve'al Kulam, O Diavo Shalom Aleinu, O Diavo Shalom Aleinu, O Diavo Shalom Aleinu, Ve'al Kulam, Shalom Aleinu, Ve'al Kol HaOlam, Shalom, Shalom. Shalom Aleinu ve'al kol ha'olam. Shalom, shalom. O Diavo Shalom Aleinu, O Diavo Shalom Aleinu, O Diavo Shalom Aleinu ve'al kulam. O Diavo Shalom Aleinu, O Diavo Shalom Aleinu, O Diavo Shalom Aleinu ve'al kulam. Shalom Aleinu ve'al kol ha'olam. Shalom, shalom, shalom Aleinu ve'al kol ha'olam. Shalom, shalom.
Shabbos, everybody. We're going to have maybe roll some quick announcements, all the wonderful stuff that's going up on in here in this community as we get ready to make Kiddush over here. I told Marty, remember, she gets the big cup tonight. Some more stuff that's going on Shavuot at PJTC. Just so everybody knows, just another PSA. We're also having Shavuot morning services for 2 days. We're having day 1 is on Sunday, day 2 is on Monday, and day 2 also on Monday includes a Yizkor service. So I just wanted to make sure you knew about that. Without further ado, let's go over to the other stender. Let's see. I'm waiting for that 1,000-watt bat mitzvah smile. There we go.
Let's join together. You guys have your Kiddush cups? ויהי ויהי בוקר יום השישי, ויחולו השמיים והארץ, וכל צבאם, ויחל אלוהים ביום השביעי, מלאכתו אשר עשה, וישפוט ביום השביעי, מכל מלאכתו אשר עשה. ויברך אלוהים את יום השביעי, ויקדש אותו, כי בו שבת מכל מלאכתו, אשר ברא אלוהים לעשות. You lift it up. ברוך אתה אדוני, אלוהינו מלך העולם, בורא פרי הגפן. ברוך אתה אדוני, אלוהינו מלך העולם, אשר קידשנו במצוותיו ורצה ושבת קודשו באהבה וברצון הנחילנו, זיכרון למעשה בראשית, כי הוא יום תחילה למקראי קודש, זכר ליציאת מצרים. Together. כי באנו בחרתך ואותנו קידשת עם כל העמים, ושבת קודשך ואהבה וברצון הנחלתנו. ברוך אתה אדוני מקדש השבת. לחיים.
All right, those at home who wish to wash, wash as you wish. And I'll just make a light you dime here on everybody's behalf, thinking about you. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu al netilat yadayim.
Amen. And as the family raises the challah, big challah, there you go, lift it up. Let's join together. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, hamotzi lechem min haaretz b'te'avon. Shabbat shalom, everyone.
Good
Have
Shabbos,
a little piece
everybody.
of
We'll
challah.
see you right back there. And Mazel Tov to the Owen and Wallace families. Goodbye, everybody.
Go, go, go.